Hello and welcome to this overview of Python programming language. Python is a widely used general purpose high-level programming language. Python supports multiple programming paradigms including object-oriented, imperative, functional programming or procedural styles. Like other dynamic languages, Python is often used as a scripting language, but it is also used as a wide range in non-scripting context also. But its syntax allows programmers to express concepts in fewer lines of code. Moving on to next slide, we will cover some of the topics in Python programming language like repetition loops and selection process. For loop. For loops executes a sequence of statements multiple times and abbreviates the code that manages the loop variable. Here is the syntax of for loop. We intend the statements to be repeated with tabs or spaces. Variable. The variable name in the for loop is a name given to each value, so we can refer those as statements. Group of values can be a range of integers specified within the range. Here we can see the variable name x in the range of 1, 6. 1, 6 here can be said as group of values. Print x, squared is, x star x is taken as statements here for this respective for loop. Here is we can see the output as we have given the group of values between 1 to 6, and here we can see the output between 1 to 6 only. Moving on to next slide. Coming to range. The range function specifies a range of integers. Range includes the start and stop values of integers. It can also accept a third value specifying the change between the values. Here we can see the acceptance of a third value by a keyword called stop. Here we can see the example of the acceptance of third value. This is the for loop, and printx is the printx and print blast off is the are the statements. Moving on to cumulative loops. Some loops incrementally compute a value that is initialized outside the loop. This is sometimes called as cumulative sum. Here we can see the if statement. If statement executes a group of statements only if a certain condition is true, otherwise the statements are skipped. Here we can see in this flowchart, if a statement is true, the if statement executes the control statements. If it is false, it directly moves on to the next statement. Here we can see the if condition. If GPA is greater than 2.0, we can print application is accepted. If not, the other statements are printed. Moving on to if else, it executes one block of statements if a condition is true and a second block of statements if it is false. Here we can see in this flow graph as the functionality of if else statement. If the condition is true, the if statement moves to execution of another statement. If it is true, it will execute other statements. If it is not true, it will not execute the statement, and otherwise it prints the other statements. Here we can see in the example GPA is equals to 1.4. If GPA is greater than 2.0, print welcome to Mass University, else your application is denied. We can use multiple conditions using else if. Here we can see the use of else if conditions and its statements. Moving on to while loop. While loop repeats a statement or group of statements while a given condition is true. It tests the condition before executing the loop body. Here is the syntax of while loop. For example, we can see number is equals to 1. While number greater less than 200, it is true in this case. It prints the number by using the following condition. Here is the output we can see for this example. There are many logical expressions that use relational operators. Here we can see different type of relational operators and logical operators. Equals, not equals to, less than, greater than, and greater than or equals to. These are some of the relational operators we can use in Python programming language. And are and not are the logical expressions that we can combine with logical operators as seen in these examples. Moving on to text and file processing. String. Strings are amongst the most popular types in Python programming language. We can create them by simply enclosing them within the quotations. Python treats a single quotes the same as a double quotes. Here we can see the examples of the strings. A string may not span across multiple lines or contain a character. A string can represent characters by preceding them with a backslash. Here we can see the example of that. Slash t indicates the tab character, slash n indicates the new line character, slash quotation mark, backslash. Here is the example of backslash. Moving on to indexes. Characters in a string are numbered with indexes starting with 0. Here we can see the index of 0, 1, 2, 3 up to 7. Here is the name p.dd. We can access the individual character of a string by using the variable name and index. Here we can see the accessing of a individual character in the print name. These are the string properties. Len string. It prints the number of characters in a string including spaces. str.lower of string. This is a lowercase version of a string. str.upper string. Uppercase of a string. Here we can see the example. Name is Martin Douglas Step. Here length is equals to len of name. Prints the 20 characters as it contains 20 characters. Raw underscore input reads a string of text from user input. Here we can see the raw underscore input syntax. Text processing. In this, examining, editing, formatting text is mainly done. Often uses loops that examine the characters of a string one by one. A for loop can examine each character in a string in a sequence. For example, you can see the use of for loop in text processing like this, and we can also see the output of that one. Strings and numbers. ORD of text converts a string into a number. Character map to numbers using standardized mapping such as ASCII and Unicode numbers. Character number converts a number into a string. Here we can see the example of char99ec. File processing. Many programs handle data which often comes from files. In this, we can read the entire contents of a file by using the open. Line by line processing. In this, we can read a line followed by line. Here we can see the example of that one. Moving on to graphics. To create a window, create a drawing panel and its graphical pen, which we will call them as G. Here we can see the creation of a window by creating a drawing panel. Here we can see panel is equal to drawing panel of width comma height. This is the syntax, and G is the graphical pen. Panel.get underscore graphics. This is a drawing panel. The window has nothing on it, but we can draw shapes and lines on it by sending commands to G. Here is the commands of sending commands to G. These are the graphical commands. G.create line of x1, y1, x2, y2. This draws a line between x1, y1 and x2, y2. Here we can also create vowel by using this code. We can also create rectangle by following the code. We can write text by using the following command. Drawing with loops. We can draw many repetitions for the same item at different x bar y positions for loops. Here we can see the example of these loops, drawing of loops. Thank you.